Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mark, and we're back here for the afternoon call. It is Friday. The market's about to close. To me, it looks like we're closing on our lows. Not quite at our 200-day. That's probably going to be the first level of defense, if there is any defense initially. But overall, this week has been a challenging week. Lots of destruction, I would say. Even the generals today, some of the last ones standing, got hit. I think the catalyst today, you could say, was the microchip, the semiconductor, saying there was a slowdown in the overall business. That hit a lot of stocks, maybe unduly so, but the Intels of the world, SWIX of the world, certainly like AMAX, CLAX, NXPI. So there's been lots of stocks and lots of damage today. And then you got Twitter, Facebook, Netflix had some continuation. Tesla had some news on the, that was normally a buy on the rumor of the new car and then sell on, the release, and that happened to perfection, I guess you would say. And so, we've had a challenging week and lots of downside. Is that going to change now that earnings are going to start next week? We'll have to wait and see. One thing I think that's good, the certainty is volatility is here. I think it's going to be here probably till the end of the year, I would imagine. At least minimum another few weeks. Ideally, I'd love to see it last a little longer than that. We'll have to wait and see. So at least it's going to be volatile. That means crazy moves to the upside, crazy moves to the downside, and lots in between. That means there can be a lot of trading, understanding that probably swing positions are going to have to be a little bit kept to a minimum. Next week is going to be a test because it seems like we are testing that 200-day across the board. IWM has been the weakest indice. I'm curious if that's going to bounce first when we do try to find a bottom. We'll have to wait and see. But overall, chart-wise, there's really nothing to talk about except on the downside at this point in time. And I've mentioned them. Like I said, they hit a lot of the generals today, and that's the key. When you start hitting the generals, we're closer to the bottom than we are to the beginning of a new correction, but doesn't mean it's going to be a V-shaped bottom that we've had in the past. I don't know if it's much different than it has been. But again, you get that nervous feeling, you get the pit in the stomach, you get a lot of bearish attitude on the street. We're there, and we'll have to see if we react the same way we've had over the last 5 years, which is obviously coming to a rally near term, or quite frankly, is this something different because of the Fed easing off? I think first, second quarter of 2015, depending. We'll have to wait and see. So. Hopefully you stayed out of trouble and obviously tried to capitalize on some of these moves, because I'll just give you an indication. I mean, some of these moves, I'll put it to Twitter up on a 5-minute chart. I mean, this is the open. So right off the bat, it was a 55, went all the way down to 50, went back to 53, hovered for a while, then it's closing back on its lows. Just an indication of the volatility that we're actually having. That's a big travel range for the stock. And it's a decent amount of volatility for the issue. Tesla, same thing, gapped down a little bit, went down a lot lower, went down $10 lower, rallied another $3-4, and then obviously closing close to its low. So we're having some decent travel ranges, which is the only, I think, thing that's going to be constant next week. You're going to have volatility. We're going to have some crazy action. They usually push it a little farther to the downside, so that might mean a test below the 200-day. And then a buy signal above the 200-day if it actually has some volume behind it. But they're doing it to the upside also. So when we do get that relief rally, and it will happen, it always does, understand it probably goes a little further than we all think, and vice versa happens again. So I expect some volatility next week. Hopefully you stayed out of trouble and maybe were able to capitalize. If you haven't been looking off the charts, I got to tell you, we've had, I think, 17 shorts on there, and 1 or 2 longs maybe. So it's been right on the numbers. I'll give Laz some credit and a shout out, because there's been a lot of good stocks and good plays, strategic plays on there. Some didn't trigger yet. Most triggered over the last few days. But either way, they look pretty good, and you would have been able to capitalize accordingly. So it's a product that we offer, and if you're not looking at it, you really should take a look. Hopefully everybody has a very nice weekend. I know some people aren't working on Monday, but enjoy yourselves, and I'll see you all back on Monday.